by the water.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. This is episode 4, season 1 of Top Earner. And Leroy is so deep into the game that he doesn't even recognize that his wife has become so deeply involved in what's going on to try to protect what she has with him, that the lie and the deceit is all catching up with her. She's kind of like the fly that's caught in that spider web, and the spider is inching its way slowly towards her so it can twist her up in that web and then suck the life out of her. You know what I'm saying? But she doesn't realize that she has a way out, and it's trust and honesty. But she can't do it because she's afraid of what it's going to cause to happen to that relationship. And before I get into this episode, I want to tell you, that is what happens to us. You know, the people that we love and care about the most are the ones that when we hurt them, we feel so ashamed that we turn away from them, not understanding that those are the individuals that we are supposed to be running towards. The people that love us the most, yeah, they may be disappointed in the things that we've done and the decisions that we've made, but they're the ones that know and love us. And if there's any help to be had, if there's anything that can be done, they'll be the ones to do it. Not the ones in the streets, not the game. And that's how the game twists us. It has us relying more on it as opposed to the ones that love us. Now see, Leroy, he thinks that everything is on the table with him and Crystal. He thinks everything's on the table because he was honest with her. After a while, he told her what was happening and everything was cool. She's in agreement with it. They're in this together. So he's thinking that she's understanding these late nights and these 2 and 3 days where he's not at home because he's doing this for them. But the loneliness has gotten her, and she snuck off, and didn't sneak off, but she was at one situation where she let another man kiss her, and she was in another situation where she thought that she could use her body to blackmail and get some power over another man. So she let a man play inside of her. The parts of her that belonged to Leroy and no one else, she let another man touch because she thought that it would get her what she wanted. All she wants to do is protect what they have. But let me get back to Leroy. See, Leroy is getting a reputation now. Everybody is talking about it. And in the streets, when everybody's talking about you, you can rest assured of one thing. The police know about you. They know about you. And while Leroy is out doing his thing in other cities, the police, they got friends in other cities. They got a network where they can call the police in another town and say this and say that. Next thing you know, they got a whole file on you. Doesn't matter where you go. You don't have to do it at home. You know how they say in the game, you know what I'm saying? Don't do your dirt where you lay your head at. Well, that makes sense, and it don't make sense. Because if you're doing dirt in another place, you're doing dirt, right? And if there's no right way to do wrong, then no matter where you do your dirt, you're going to get dirty. So Leroy is doing his dirt and getting dirty in other cities, but now his reputation has spread and is back into the town that he grew up in, where he was well respected and looked upon as somebody that could be trusted in the community and depended on. And now he's looked at like all the other people in the streets that are hurting and harming the community. He's a drug dealer. And they're building a case on him. But see, Big Al, he left out one part of the game. He didn't tell Leroy about the part of the game where sometimes you got to do business with the police so that you can stay doing the business you want to do when you're in the streets. So yeah, he give up a little information in exchange for what? Allowing him to continue to do what he do. That's the game in the streets, y'all. That's how it go down. And don't think it don't. I don't care what they tell you now. Don't think it don't. Don't think it don't. Because you know it does. You know it does. And quit acting like you don't know. So here we go. So when the police ask about Leroy and all of his shenanigans, see, they know about Big Al. But Big Al is with them. You understand? Huh. Yeah, I know. So they ask about Leroy, and Leroy tells them, yeah, I've heard he's doing this thing. You know, he asked to do some things with me every now and then, you know. So they said, well, keep us up on what he's got going on because he's doing some things in these other places, you know what I'm saying? It's got a lot of money floating around. We just can't seem to put our hand on it. He said, all right, I'll keep that in mind. So now Big Al is understanding that his time is up. It's just a matter of time now. They're trying to put something together because they're hearing his name. So Big Al he's putting the trap together. He's putting the trap together because he's got to make sure of one thing, that he's safe. That's one thing he's got to make sure he's safe. So when he discusses this with Tony, lets Tony know what's going on, keep in mind, let me tell you something. Tony ain't no joke. He the muscle, right? But he know Big Al. He know Big Al play with the police. He knows that. He knows that. And he's cool with it. Because why? He's eating off of that plate. It's all about who's feeding you. Talking about loyalty and to the streets and all this and that. No, it's who's feeding you. Who's writing your check. Who's putting money in your pocket. Who's paying for your clothes. Who's helping you pay your light bill. That's who you're loyal to. And you know it. Whether you're on either side of this thing. So quit playing. So when he tells Tony what's going on, Tony starts to realize, wait a minute. I got some skin in this game too, but he don't tell Big Al. Because when Tony gets ready to launch his plan, he's hoping that when Leroy goes down, that he'll be able to get that money that Leroy's stashed somewhere because he knows he's got some money stashed somewhere. So now he gets in touch with Crystal. He tells Crystal, he said, look, I need you to keep up with where Leroy's putting his money at. And she says, why? He said, well, when things go wrong, you're going to have to be able to put your hands on the money, and I'm going to be the one to help you do some things with it. She's not stupid. She understands what he's trying to say. He thinks that if something happens to Leroy, he's just going to be able to come in and she's going to tell him where all the money's at, and then he's going to leave her high and dry. Crystal might be slow, but she ain't stupid. She ain't stupid. So what she does, she can't go tell Leroy the business. So what she does, she starts to take the money a little bit at a time and starts to stash it away in another bank account, totally separate from Leroy, totally separate from Leroy. And she keeps the information at her mom's house. So nobody, even if they got in that house, could access it. So over time, she's got a nice chunk saved up. And this is not for her. She's not setting up an escape plan or an exit plan. She's setting up to make sure if something goes wrong, that her and Leroy will be okay. That's her goal. So she's putting this money away. And it's all because of Tony tipped his hand. He tips it. But she knows also that she got to leave a little something because she don't want him to reveal what it is that he knows about her to Leroy whenever this goes south. But she's afraid for Leroy. So she starts to tell him, you know, are you making sure that you're safe? Are you being careful? And Leroy's like, yeah, what's going on? Why are you asking me all this? She said, well, I just got a bad feeling. See, I don't trust the people that you're hanging around with anymore. She's saying these things to him. And he's like, who? And she tells him that Tony, it's something about him that's not right. So she plants that seed of doubt in Leroy's mind about Tony. So now he's watching. But what he don't understand is that it's not about him watching Tony. You know what I'm saying? That she's trying to get him to do. She's trying to get him to doubt anything that Tony might say in the future. You feel what I'm saying? So she's doing her due diligence as well because she's playing the game too. This is chess, y'all, not checkers. You feel me? That's what we're doing here. So now Leroy's taking care of his business as usual, like he always has. And he's having the problem here and a problem, but he straightened it out. Him and Big Al sitting down, they chopping up the money. Money is good. They're making way more money than they thought they would be making, so his cut is going to be higher than some 700, you know what I'm saying, for the year that's coming up. They're getting it. They're getting it. And now Leroy started to talk to Crystal about moving away. Just one day, just up and walking away from it. And that's how it usually goes. When you're about something about to go down, you start thinking about leaving. Your gut is telling you something ain't right. So now Leroy's talking about, okay, we need to find us somewhere to live, somewhere we can move away and get away from all this, where nobody will know what we got going on. So she tells him, okay, how are we going to do that? So he says, look, start looking for somewhere that we can move, and we're going to find some property, and we're going to buy it. And when we buy this property, we're going to leave. He said, start looking for that, and that way we'll be okay. And so she starts to do that. And when she's looking for this property, she's thinking, okay, this is how we get away from everybody. So she's looking all over. She's trying to find a place down in Florida, moving further into the South, maybe like Alabama, Mississippi, places where some cheaper land. So she's looking all around, right? And she's talking to realtors here and there, whatever. And she's got this money tucked away that she's not told Leroy about. Plus, he's still bringing money to give to her, to put up, and she's doing it. But he's thinking that she's putting it and stashing it in the house because they know that they can't put all this money in the bank. And the whole time, the police, they're watching Leroy. They're surveilling him. They got pictures of him here, there, and everywhere. They're taking all of these pictures of him and catching him in all of these spots. But they haven't caught him with any of the drugs. So they go back. They go back to Big Al and they say, look, who's his supplier? Now, see, this is where it's going to get tricky. Because Big Al don't want to give up his supplier because the same supplier that's giving the dope to Leroy is their supplier. He wants Leroy to take the fall. He don't want to shut down his own operation. You feel me? It's about buying time in the game. So he said, let me check on that. Let me see. Because they need to catch him with some dope. And if they can't catch him with some dope, then they don't really have a case on it. It's going to be hard to get him without catching him with some dope. So here's the thing. They get a search warrant, right, for one of the places that Leroy's been laying his head at when he don't want to drive all the way back home. But he knows to not have anything in there. But they kick in the door while he's not there. They don't find a thing. It's clean. It is clean. Everything in it is not, and it looks lived in. But it's not in his name either. It's not in his name, so that doesn't matter. But they didn't find anything. But they've let Leroy know that they're watching. So he talks to Big Al about it. He said, man, what do I do? And he told him, just stay clean. Just don't ever have anything on you. Don't do this, don't do that. He's telling them all the real things that you're not supposed to do when you're trying to avoid getting caught by the police. And he said, maybe you need to lean back for a minute. And Leroy tells him, I've been thinking about that, man. I've been thinking about taking a vacation, you know what I'm saying, the next few months or so. But he's telling Big Al a vacation, but really he's finna get ghost and he's going to be gone. Because he ain't got no warrants or nothing. He ain't got no indictments. They're just watching him. Because his name is buzzing all over the place. Name is buzzing everywhere. They know he's into something. Everybody's talking about him, but they can't catch him doing nothing. Can't catch him doing nothing. So as luck would have it, if that's what you want to call it, one of his houses, you get a bad batch of dope. Get a bad batch of dope. And there's 2 or 3 people that OD. And one of them dies. One of them dies. And when the police find out and they get to the scene because somebody panicked and called 911. Imagine that. Somebody called 911 to a dope house. To a dope house. They were scared. And when they got there, they had the bodies in the front yard, the people that had OD'd. Like I say, 2 of them survived, 1 of them died. And when they pulled the guy out of the house that had been serving the dope to these addicts, he told them that Leroy had given him the dope. It's just like hitting the lottery for the police. They have a witness that's willing to say that Leroy gave him the dope that caused the death of an addict. So they go arrest him for second-degree murder because they're saying that the drugs that he sold to the individual is what caused the death. Yeah, they can do that, y'all. That's legal. That's legal. They went and picked him up. He made the call from the jail, something he had never done, to tell Crystal that he was in jail. And he told her why. And she broke down and cried. And when she broke down and cried, she immediately thought, okay, this is it. Tony's coming. So she made sure, after she got off the phone, because Leroy told her to make sure everything was straight. They had already rehearsed it. So she knew to clean up. So she got all the money that was at the house, quickly took it to her mother's, quickly put it away. But she kept $60,000 in the house. She kept $60,000 in the house. And when she pulled back up at the house, Tony was waiting on her. When she got out of the car and opened the door, he got out of his car and walked in the door. And she started crying, like, what's going to happen to him? And is he going to be okay? And all this. And Tony's like, you know why I'm here. Where's the money? She said, it ain't no money. He said, there's some money somewhere here. And she played him. She played him. And she said, it might be some here, it might be some there, whatever the case may be. So she went to a couple of different places and she found a couple of boxes. And they had $60,000 in them. And she said, this is all the money we have right here. I don't know what he did with the other money. I don't know where the other money's at. And he looks at her and he takes the money. And he takes $10,000 of the money out and gives it to her. And he takes the $50,000 for himself and he leaves. And he leaves. And left her with only $10,000. He thought he was doing her a favor. He thought he was doing her a favor. So he's gone. Now she doesn't have to worry about him. But she packs up everything that she needs and she leaves and she goes to her mother's house. And she never comes back to that house. And she lets Tony know where she's at. She lets Leroy know, where she's at. So he can call there. And now he's calling there and she's telling him everything is going to be fine. And she's going to tell him when she gets to visit, what's really going on and how everything is going to work out just fine, right? But in the meantime, in between time, Leroy is going to be put in a situation where he's going to be able to see the fruits of his labor. He's going to see the fruits of his labor. He's in the county jail right now, and it doesn't look good. His lawyers come to see him and talk to him and told him that it doesn't look good at all. It doesn't look good at all. But I tell you what, you're going to have to listen to the next episode, the season finale. You're going to have to listen to that to find out what happens to Tony, to Leroy. And if you want to check that out, you know what I'm saying, you want to listen to all of these episodes back to back, you need to go to my membership page, and so you can binge out and listen to all the episodes. If not, like I say, check me out tomorrow on the regular page, and you'll be able to hear what happens to Leroy and everything else that's going to come behind it. And that's going to be the season finale tomorrow, y'all. So check me out. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all. I've been trying to breathe underwater.